Hello students, I am welcome to my channel. I am Professor Rashmi Pingle from KVN Naik College, Nasik. Today I am in front of you to explain the electron transport chain, ETC, electron transport chain. We are going to discuss the ETC. So first of all we will see what is the purpose of the ETC. As I told you in the previous lecture, ETC is the third step in the process of the aerobic respiration. So what is the need of the ETC? The ETC is responsible for the generation of the ATP. Lots of amount of generation of ATP is done by the ETC, and it also oxidize the reduced coenzyme. It also convert the NADH and FADH2 into NAD plus and FAD. So therefore the ATP generation can be takes place by two methods: oxidative phosphorylation and the substrate level phosphorylation. So first of all we will see what happened in the substrate level phosphorylation. In the substrate level phosphorylation, the energy from the substrate it utilized for the production of the ATP directly, and the low energy product is formed. Means here direct ATP is formed. It do not involve, without the involvement of the ETC, the ATP is formed. This is called as the substrate level phosphorylation. And the oxidative phosphorylation. In oxidative phosphorylation, there is the oxidation of the substrate to produce the reduced coenzyme NADH plus H plus and FADH2. And this reduced coenzyme need to be transported through the electron transport chain, and hence there is the generation of the ATP. So when the ETC is involved in the process of ATP generation, it is known as the oxidative phosphorylation. So student, now what is the location of the ETC? Where does the ETC takes place? ETC, the enzymes responsible for the electron transport chain are present on the inner mitochondrial membrane. As you know, the mitochondria is a double membrane structure. The outer membrane and the inner membrane of mitochondria is convoluted, is folded to form the cristae. And the enzyme responsible for this ETC are located on this inner mitochondrial membrane. So now, these are the carriers, electron transport chain. As the name implies, there are chain of carrier is present. Many carriers are present. Carriers of what? They are the carriers of the electrons. They are the carriers of the protons. And one is the acceptor, and above carrier is the donor. Again, it accept and donate the electrons to the next acceptor and the donor. So there is movement of the electrons through this all these carriers, and because of this transport there is generation of lots of amount of energy. So now these carriers are divided into the four complexes, total four complexes. So student, first complex of this electron transport chain is NADH dehydrogenase. NADH dehydrogenase, as the name implies, it dehydrogenase the NADH plus H plus, means it removes the hydrogen ions from the NADH plus H plus, and hence convert the NADH into NAD plus, and NADH plus H plus then broken down into NAD plus plus 2H plus. NADH plus H plus is broken down into NAD plus 2H plus 2E minus. Okay. So now this two protons and this NAD plus is recycled again. And what happens with this protons and the electrons? This proton and electron are accepted by the FMN, flavin mononucleotide, which is a part of a complex 1. This FMN accept the two protons and two electrons and get reduced into the FMNH2. and this complex 1 also contain the many iron sulfur containing centers. So this iron sulfur containing centers also responsible for the transport of the electrons through it. Then this reduced FmNH2 is again oxidized to FmN, and the two protons, they are accepted by the coenzyme Q. Coenzyme Q is not a part of any of the complex. Coenzyme Q is a mobile electron carrier, means it can move. So the coenzyme Q, when it accepts the proton and the electron, it gets converted into its reduced form, coenzyme Q H2. Okay. Then this coenzyme Q then releases its protons into the matrix. And the electrons are accepted by the cytochrome B C1 complex. Cytochrome B C1 complex is the complex number 3 of the electron transport chain. Cytochrome are the basically iron containing compound, Fe containing compound, and they keep oscillating, they keep converting between the ferric and the ferrous form. So the electrons are accepted by the ferric form is the oxidized form, and when it accepts the electron, it get reduced to the ferrous form. So again the ferrous form donate its electron to the cytochrome C. Cytochrome C again also is not a part of any of the complex, and cytochrome C, the ferric ion of the cytochrome C accept the proton and it get reduced to the ferrous form. Then the oxidized form, ferrous form, is donate its electron to the ferric form and it get reduced to the Fe2 plus form. And this is the cytochrome A3. The name of the complex 4 is the cytochrome oxidase. Now this cytochrome oxidase, what it does, here the final electron acceptor in this chain, this is the chain of the electron acceptor and the donors, and the final electron acceptor in this chain is the atmospheric oxygen. From where this oxygen comes? This oxygen comes from the breathing. When we breathe in, we take up the oxygen, and that oxygen is utilized over here, and the atmospheric oxygen accept the 2 electrons as well as 2 H plus ions from the matrix, and hence it form the water. It form the one molecule of water, that is the H2O. This is the metabolic water. Metabolic water means this is the water formed inside the cell. Now we will discuss about the complex 2. Name of the complex 2 is the succinate dehydrogenase. As the succinate is converted into the fumarate, the FAD, here the proton acceptor is FAD. So FAD get reduced to the FADH2, and this FADH2 donates its protons and electrons again to the coenzyme Q, and again the same process takes place. But always remember that NADH enter the complex from complex 1, NADH enter the ETC from the complex 1, and FADH enter the ETC from the complex number 2. So what happened due to this electron transport? So let's see over here. This is the structure of this is a portion of the structure of the mitochondrion. This is the outer mitochondrial membrane. This is the inner mitochondrial membrane, which is convoluted. This is the intermembrane space, the space between the outer membrane and the inner membrane. And this is the mitochondrial matrix. Now here complex 1, 2, 3 and 4 are organized linearly. So complex 1 is a L-shaped protein. Complex 1 is a NADH dehydrogenase, and as you can see it is the L-shaped protein. So while this complex 1 accepts the electrons from NADH, it becomes supercharged. When the complex 1 accepts the electrons from the NADH, it becomes supercharged and it acts as a proton pump. Proton pump means it pumps the proton. It pumps the proton from the matrix of the mitochondria to the intermembrane space. It pumps the proton from the matrix to the intermembrane space, and 4 protons are pumped from the complex number 1. And complex 2, it do not act as a proton pump. Then when the electron are accepted by the complex number 3, again complex 3 is a proton pump. When it accepts the electron, it pumps the 4 proton across the from the matrix to the inner membrane space. Total 4 protons are pumped. And when the electrons are transported from complex 3 to complex 4 by the cytochrome C, 2 protons are pumped from the matrix to the inner membrane space. And because of the pumping of the protons, as the protons are pumped from the matrix to the inner membrane space, here the proton gradient is developed. Proton gradient means here now more protons are present and here very less protons are present. And this energy of this proton gradient is utilized for the formation of the ATP. Now, at last, the ATP synthase enzyme is present. ATP synthase. It harnesses the energy generated by this proton gradient and it allows the protons to move from the inner membrane space to the matrix. It involves to move the proton from the inner membrane space to the mitochondrial matrix. It has 2 components, F0 and F1 component. And it synthesizes the ATP by the phosphorylation of the ADP. Phosphorylation means addition of the phosphate group to the ADP, and by the phosphorylation of ADP, ATP is generated. So, NADH enter the ETC from the complex 1 and FADH2 enter the ETC by the complex number 2. When the 4 protons are pumped from the matrix to the inner membrane space, there is generation of the 1 ATP. Remember this, when the 4 protons are pumped from the matrix to the inner membrane space, there is the generation of the 1 ATP. So, NADH, as I told you before, NADH enter the ETC by the complex 1. So, it will pump the 4 plus 4 plus 2, total 10 protons in the inner membrane space. And if we divide the 10 by 4, we will get the 2.5 ATP. Means 1 molecule of NADH gives us 2.5 ATP molecules. And FADH2, as I told you, enter the ETC by the complex 2. So it will leads to the generation of the 4 plus 2, total 6 protons are pumped. And if we divide the 6 by 4, we will get 1.5. So for 1 FADH2 molecule, 1.5 ATP are generated. Now, in the whole aerobic respiration process, in the process of glycolysis, 2 ATPs are generated by the substrate level phosphorylation and 2 NADH are generated. So 2 NADH will produce the 3 ATP or the 5 ATP based on the shuttle. If it uses the glycerol phosphate shuttle, it will produce the 3 ATP, and if it uses the malate shuttle, it will produce the 5 ATP. Now, the linking reaction, the conversion of the pyruvate to acetyl CoA it will produce the 2 NADH. So 2 NADH will in turn produce the 5 ATP after passing through the ATC. And the Krebs cycle, it produces the 2 ATP by the substrate level phosphorylation, and it produces the 6 NADH that will in turn produces the 15 ATP, and it also gives us the 2 FADH2 that will produce the 3 ATP. So that we can understand that if we total all this number, we can understand that from one molecule of glucose we can get either 30 to 32 molecules of the ATP. Hope this video will help you to understand the concept of the ATC. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe my video. Thank you.